Build it once to last. Concentrate on programs that address the individual's needs. So if someone's telling you, look, I really don't have any time, teach them how to do the things that you don't need a lot of time to do. Putting out prospecting cards, mining LinkedIn for 10 minutes a day. Break it down to micro tasks. If you give someone something to do for 10 minutes a day, how can they say they don't have 10 minutes? But if you tell them they need to spend an hour and a half a day every day, it starts to get hard. But if you say, hey, do this for 10 minutes in the morning, do this for 10 minutes at night, do this on your lunch break, do this, and you break it up and you show them how to spend an hour a day in and amongst their day, they can do it. You need to belong. Lots of people join MLM, believe it or not, just to belong. As I said earlier, it's almost like church. They come to belong. I had all kinds of people in my organizations. They showed up to every meeting, never had a guest. They were bums in chairs, and they loved every minute of watching the same thing over and over. I'd rather watch paint dry personally, but they were part of it. They loved it. I loved them. It's okay. Don't expect that everyone that you enroll is going to take it as seriously as you. Some people might not take it seriously for a year and then all of a sudden turn on. I've seen that. Some people may go hard out of the gate, fall off for a year, and then come back. It's okay. Need to be recognized. This is the welcome aboard call, right? By simply welcoming aboard with the upline or with the VP of sales or with Peter, people are sitting there going, wow, I must be important because someone's taking their time out of their day to talk to me. I was just like Craig when the big guy that I didn't know who he was, he called. I thought, man, that's just the nicest guy ever. And then when as I learned in MLM that all of this stuff is taught at events like this, and it's all very, very formula driven. It's very, very systematic. None of it's by accident. By the time you realize it, then you're going, oh, this is pretty cool. Okay? Need to be recognized. That's why we have all these ranks and levels and pins and clubs and whatever, because your average person wants to be better than the person sitting beside them. You don't believe me? We have unions, right? We have teacher unions and everything, right? So we have a teachers union because the whole premise was we have to make everyone the same. And then someone said, yeah, but I think we need seniority. How often have you heard two teachers arguing over the fact that one has 6 days more seniority than the other? Recognition is everything in our lives, right? You get to be crew chief at McDonald's for 25 cents extra an hour. There you go. So the reality is that recognition is really, really important. And of course, the need to achieve. A lot of people just like the fact that I can go out and sponsor a person or 2 persons, and now I'm bronze, and I feel good about that. And I get a little certificate. Especially self-employed people. Do you know why there's so many self-employed people in MLM? Because when you're self-employed, nobody ever pats you on the back. You spend your life patting your staff on the back. I remember my staff in Australia, my head programmer, he took me golfing one day. He wouldn't let me pay for a thing. He picked me up, he took me golfing, he bought me lunch, he bought me beers. We had a great time, wouldn't let me pay for a thing. And he says, no, he says, you're just a really good dude, and I appreciate everything you've done to me for the last 7 or 8 years. That was the first time since I owned the company that everyone has said thank you to me. I mean, they say thank you for the free dinners and thank you for that, but to actually say thank you to me as a human being for having a company that employed him, that's never happened before. So that's why people who have small businesses do so great in MLM, because every time you turn around, someone's going, good job. You're like, yeah, it's great, right? Recognition feels good, the need to achieve. Not working in depth. Common mistake, I don't know what comes next, yeah. So a common mistake made in MLM, and it's one of the reasons why we've adopted the 5x7 matrix. The 5x7 matrix forces you to work in depth, okay? So you'll hear lots of people say, no, you should be able to work in width. Okay, so let's see. I have 3 friends on a baseball team. I know Paul because Bill introduced him, and Paul and Bill are my good friends, and then there's John, and we all knew each other from the baseball team. If you weren't forced to go only 5 wide, you might make the critical mistake that most people make of getting really, really greedy and putting all 3 of these guys on your front line. Now I have a war for these 3 people to be fighting over the rest of the baseball team. But if you work in depth instead and you put them all in the same line, Lysandra's compensation plan will help you out with that. It'll say, okay, you might make a little bit less in the matrix, but holy smokes, so you're going to do well in the matching bonuses, so don't worry about it. Right, so the generationalizing of the matching bonus looks after the fact that you can work in depth. And forcing you to only have 5 wide forces you to do the right thing, which is put people of like mind together to work. Now don't go crazy, don't go working 14 in depth. But you should always sponsor in 2s. You sponsor 1, you sponsor 1 under them. You don't sponsor 1 and 1 beside them. Right? And then as you have leaders develop, start to work with them and teach them to do the same thing. Working in depth will build you strength. Working in width will usually create wars and fighting and endless calls to Peter and Jean that they don't want to deal with. And I mean, it's just treat people with respect, keep like people together. Your comp plan forces that, but it doesn't confine you to it. Eventually you get to open up a 6th line and a 7th line and an 8th line. So working in depth is really, really critical. And slow, apparently.